All right, well, what is up, everybody? Keith Jameson, Go Back Get a Guy 231 across the DFS industry, and it is actually Thursday. Normally this is Friday, but we're in the car, which means it is time to preview an EPL slate for those that are interested. We are driving from St. Pete, Florida, through Tampa. Will be your background viewing going across the bridge here shortly, but a really an interesting 4-game EPL slate coming up. That's a lot different than what we've been dealing with. Like, if you remember last weekend, we were dealing with the two huge favorites, right? Liverpool was minus 500, City was minus 600. In hindsight, you faded City completely and just went Liverpool, and you did well. We said that was always going to be a roulette wheel. We've had City slates before, Liverpool slates. We've always had like one of these big teams, right? Even Arsenal. We'll give Arsenal fans a little bit of like the big team statement. But this weekend, we got no big teams. We've got Leicester, which, in the last few years has had the results of big teams, but by no means are they one of the top teams. We got Leeds, we got West Ham, so it's an interesting one. Not the household names. No Bruno, no Ronaldo, no Kevin De Bruyne, no Salah. We've got Mikel Antonio, we got Rafinha, we got these type of guys. So it's interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Just a quick reminder, if it's the first time watching, first off, you're like, what the hell? This guy really does it. The previews in the car, off his notes, off receipt for notes. Yes, that is how we roll here. So give us a like, subscribe, comment. Really do appreciate all the support. Let's just jump right into it. So first game that I'm going to go over is Leeds hosting West Ham. I was actually kind of surprised by the opening odds here. West Ham's a slight favorite. I guess that's a product of how Leeds is playing. But this is going to have two of the studs, and this is the highest total on the site. This is a solid 3 total, and I wouldn't be surprised if we even see some juice on 3 because West Ham plays really open. We saw that versus United last weekend when Fabianski had to stand on his head to keep them in, and they would have had gone 2-2 without the Mark Noble missed PK, and we won't even go into that. But West Ham's a good team, and Leeds is a good team that's starting out rocky, but they're going to play open. So this game, I wanted to start with it because it has stack potential and it has players that I like. And I think the first guy into my builds is going to be Rafinha at 9,200. I think let me just state this as kind of like a preliminary to the slate. There are 3 studs that I would love to have all of them, and I think you can probably only take 2. Maybe even go for it. I think you can throw Antonio in there, despite him not really having, like a set floor. The matchup versus Leeds, the player that we know he is, I definitely think that he's in play. I'm assuming there's no injury that I missed on him. Again, this is Thursday as I'm recording, but those 4 are Rafinha, who's so the big 3 is Ismail Assar as a solid home favorite versus Newcastle, Andros Townsend, who at this point now is taking over sets for Everton, and with Dean out, may actually have like a straight monopoly to sets. And then Assar and those 3, and then again you can toss in Antonio, you can toss in Jared Bowen. I'm fine with that, but I think it's those other 3, and I think of the 3, the cheapest, yet I think the safest is Rafinha at 9,200. He has double digits in every game, including having a red card for the last 35 minutes versus Liverpool. Still got double digits. And, we know Rafinha has a share of sets, takes guys on like nobody else, and then is on in just the open game of the slate. They're not the biggest favorite, but there's going to be opportunities on both sides. So I really like Rafinha at 9,200. He's probably the Leeds piece I feel the most comfortable with. Everybody else to me is just, despite how much I love Leeds, it's really GPP. You might see Daniel James on the left. He might spot a corner here or there, but, he'd just be he's not a building block for me. He's kind of like a last man in. There's somebody else down in that territory that's been tilting. We'll get to it at Leicester. Patrick Bamford, GPP. Rodrigo, GPP. The fullbacks, we never know who a fullback is, right? Is Eiling going to be a center back? He's going to be a fullback. Junior Firpo, we know, will be a fullback, but, when was the last time he did something all that well, right? Calvin Phillips, is he going to have sets? Is he not? Do you really want to waste a spot if he's not going to have sets? So that's like Leeds conundrum. So to me, you play Rafinha and you move on. And then GPP, you stack Rafinha and Bamford, or stack Rafinha and Rodrigo, or all that. You have some easy combos there. And then run it back with Antonio and GPP. That's how I'd roll. So that's the Leeds side. West Ham is actually kind of funny too, because they are somewhat similar to Leeds, and there's like almost too many guys that you want, that they kind of neutralize each other. So, Jared Bowen, we know if he starts, he's going to have his share of set pieces. Likely split with Aaron Cresswell. I don't know if this is the slate to pay up for an Aaron Cresswell, especially considering he's going to be on Rafinha's side. How much freedom does he have to go forward, knowing that Rafinha's coming up from behind him? So, it kind of almost becomes, if you want to do West Ham, are you just better to play Mikel Antonio, who's just awesome? Or you can play Saad Benrahma, which, is he going to start? Or is it Vlasic? Is it going to be Fornal? It's like they just have so many attackers. And the other problem when you have so many attackers is like they're going to sub on for each other. So you might not get the full 90. So I think Antonio, funny enough, as I'm like talking this out and talking myself through it, is probably my favorite West Ham, which is very anti-me, which probably means it's just going to be GPP. And if I go to West Ham, maybe it's Aaron Cresswell, but just based on my build so far, I just didn't see the opportunity spinned up for that. But Cresswell, Kufal are fine. Then all those other guys, Benrahma, that type of guy with, Sarr, Townsend, and Rafinha, so he won't go owned. So yeah, I think that's West Ham. This should be an open game. I think this is a game that you stack up. I'll be interested to see Hoop's thoughts on Golazo tomorrow morning. I'm actually beating him to the punch, so I don't have to get the 10 p.m. Text from him like, hey, like, what do you think of this stuff? So he can get my thoughts right now. So yeah, that's West Ham versus Leeds. Let's go to the second game, Newcastle versus Watford. This is like a 2.25, trending down to a 2 total. Let's start with Watford. Ismail Assar has obviously been awesome. Has multiple games of multiple goals. Has double-digit 4 points in all but one game. He doesn't take set pieces, but he actually crosses just as much, if not more, than anybody else on Watford. And he's just fun. So I think he, of the big three on this slate, is the odd man out for me, but not for any particular reason other than, the other two have a set share and are in games that probably are having more goal upside than his does. Because, Watford isn't like the most fun team. They're really more defensive, and all their offense just goes through Sarr. So I do like him. I just think that the price is tough. Tom Cleverley started as the number 10 last game and was on a monopoly of set pieces. He's only 5,200. I think he's interesting in the mid-tier. Newcastle, we know, gives up a lot of crosses, gives up a lot of set pieces, and just generally on the road kind of want to play on a counterattacking or play counterattack. So I think Tom Cleverley in the middle of the field or the middle of the pricing tier, I think he was like 5,200, is really interesting. But then Watford just kind of gets gross. Emmanuel Dennis, if you didn't see Cleverley, could have some set pieces, but is it like 2? Is it 3? I don't know. Sarr's better. Up top, is it going to still be Josh King? Watford won't get much ownership outside of Sarr, and for good reason. They just aren't all that fun. Adam Messina could take some sets as a left back, but that's the only crosses he does. He doesn't really cross at all on open play. So to me, for Watford, it's Cleverley, it's Sarr, moving on. I should just note too, just at the beginning, but this is more meant to be like cash and optimal builds. Golazo with Alex Hooper tomorrow morning. That is where we're going to talk about some GPP strategies and kind of getting off the board. We're going more like chalk, cash, single injury construction here. On the Newcastle side, I think Matt Ritchie is just a little too cheap, especially for a Watford side that we know, especially if they get up, they are not going to keep attacking. They're going to be playing on the counterattack, and they have no problem sitting deep. So I think Matt Ritchie is like a left wing back on a majority of set pieces, only like 5,400. He's really, really intriguing. He's probably going to be in that clutter of, do you go him? Do you go Cresswell? Do you go like a Tom Cleverley? That might make the difference of these constructions. I just like Matt Ritchie. I've liked Matt Ritchie for a long time. Just crosses the ball a ton, and I think it's a good matchup versus Watford for him to do so. The rest of Newcastle, all GPP to me. It's Almiron, Murphy, Callum Wilson, St. Maximin. St. Maximin, I guess you could, and this is St. Max. If I'm saying it wrong, just go for it. But, I always like him. This could be a good spot for him as well, but I think his pricing, it's just tough. Maybe he becomes like, the way I was building is I'm going to end up with like somebody in the mid-tier, and I'm going to talk about Yuri Tielemans in the next game. But if you have doubts on like a Yuri Tielemans, maybe you go St. Max over him. But again, you have the lowest total, You've got Newcastle as a pretty solid dog here, plus 200 dog. Do we really want to spend money on a forward, where they're just hoping to score a goal? And hell, Steve Bruce will be plenty happy with a 0-0 result here, so keep that in mind. All right, Burnley going to Leicester. I think Leicester is minus 176. They're the biggest favorite on the slate, and I can honestly say that I have no clue what the hell to do with Leicester. So, in past years, you'd see James Maddison 4,900. Hell, you would see James Maddison 8,900, maybe even 9,900, and you go, he's the first guy in my builds at home versus Burnley. And now at 4,900, I played him last week, got destroyed. He got subbed at halftime. He was like 4,400 versus Brighton, ends with 3 DK, and I'm just like, I would do it again. Like, at some point, James Maddison has to snap out of this, right? Or does he not? Is he not having to snap out of it? And is like Rodgers just like completely screwing the psyche? I have no flipping clue. Ever since James Maddison got that injury last season and came back, he is not taking corners. It's been Yuri Tielemans. It's been Mark Albrighton. It's been frickin' Ryan Bertrand. And now we got James Maddison and just a stone cold like nut spot at home versus Burnley under 5,000, and I don't know if I'm going to play him. Like, what a weird year it has been. But there's my James Maddison rant. So all that being said, likely what we've seen on sets is that Ryan Bertrand went on, has been taking them, and he takes like 2, and then last week he subs off at the 65th minute or 67th minute, and then Yuri Tielemans takes all of them over him, and now gets like 8 crosses, and I think he even scored a goal and destroys my head-to-heads. So I think I like Yuri Tielemans. I mean, here's my biggest fear playing Yuri Tielemans, okay? So I pay like $7,300 for Yuri Tielemans in a good spot. I'm all excited. And the first corner comes, and frickin' James Maddison runs over to it. And you go, oh my God. I did not play James Maddison. He's about to get 20 floor points. And he was 4,900. So that's just a fear. It's like I feel like Central Storm and I have been talking about it. At some point, we keep saying this and we keep being wrong. At some point, James Maddison is going to take back over set pieces. Like, his set pieces before the injury were like insanely productive. Like, he would have, 5 corners and 5 shots assisted from those corners. Like, they were good set pieces. It wasn't like he was like this terrible corner taker. So I don't know. Leicester is just so hard. And then midweek, you saw Mark Albrighton as a right wing back. Mark Albrighton's a guy that's had 17, 18 crosses at times, and he gets no crosses. None. No corners. I don't know. Leicester's so hard. So do you just play Ryan Bertrand? He's only like 4,000. He's probably set pieces. If he doesn't have set pieces, you don't get wrecked. That might be my best way to go. But then, you go minus 176 favorite. Burnley's been conceding goals, especially away from home. Am I okay not taking anybody else from the side? Or do I just go Jamie Vardy? And just try to pray for a goal? I'm probably not going to do that. That's too much to spend. So then you just go back and you look at Yuri Tielemans and you go, okay, there's a chance he's on sets. And even if he's not, we've seen Yuri Tielemans, even without sets, do 7, 8, 9 DK. He's, one of the better young midfielders in the world. So, starts for Belgium. So maybe you just do it and you just hope for the best. I don't know. There's my Leicester rant. It's crazy. Crazy team. Burnley side, Dwight McNeil, and move on. I don't know if Dwight McNeil this is the spot. Leicester plays a ball control team offense. Burnley will bunker, but every single time they go forward, you know that they will cross. So Dwight McNeil's fine. Anybody else is just GPP. All right, and Leicester, Ricardo Pereira as a right back is fine. Ryan Bertrand, I think that he's going to be a guy that I'm just going to play and hate myself for it and get 4 DK and just have to go, well, he took 2 corners. What else am I going to do? All right, last game. Norwich at Everton. I think this is a really, really intriguing game for a lot of reasons. Let's start on the Everton side, even though I kind of am more intrigued to talk about the Norwich side. And Everton is a minus 167 favorite at home. So in between a 2.5 and a 3 total. So Everton, Lucas Dean, now in the last 2 games, including the cup game, we have seen lost his set pieces to Andros Townsend, who we know for years at Crystal Palace is a guy that we just love. He's just going to cross every ball. We saw him with the Golazo versus Burnley. He's looking really good. Really, really good. For Everton, he's expensive as hell, though. 10-7. You're passing up Sarr. You're passing up Antonio. You're passing up Dwight McNeil. You're passing up Vardy. You're passing up all these options. But It's the second biggest favorite. We have reason to believe that Andrews Townsend's on monopoly set pieces, and even if he's not, we know his open play value is great. So I think Andrews Townsend is a guy that, we're going to target. On the other, and that's with or without Lucas Dean. I think we have enough evidence to say that Andrews Townsend is going to take over Lucas Dean. So then the next question becomes, if Lucas Dean is fit, right now is a Thursday, he has a big old questionable tag on him. But is Lucas Dean a player that we want to lock in? At 6,200 as a minus 167 favorite, for years upon years upon years, this is not something that we discussed. Lucas Dean has been so amazing for DFS soccer. And now I sit there and go, midweek, without the goal, Lucas Dean was struggling. We know he's still going to cross and open play, but it's a conversation more than it's been. He has not been the same Lucas Dean under Rafa Benitez that he was under Carlo or under, I can't even think of whatever guy got fired before Carlo right now. Was it the Watford guy? I don't remember. So, I don't know. I think Lucas Dean is actually one of the, I started out this preview by saying that, the decision between Sarr, Townsend, and Rafinha might be the decision that decides the slate, Then talked about how Yuri Tielemans, James Maddison, Leicester drama might decide the slate. And here's yet another inflection point with what do you do with Lucas Dean. I think that even without set pieces, you could just be just fine. Burnley gives up a ton of crosses. They want you to cross the ball and let Ben Mee and Jacob Tarkowski just head the ball away over and over again. And they can, especially if Everton struggles to score, you could freaking have Andrews Townsend and Lucas Dean have, 10 crosses each at halftime if they're splitting sets on top of open play value. So I think I'm talking myself in Lucas Dean if he's in. I'm just kind of hoping he's out. I just feel like the slate just becomes so much easier. So that's the Everton set piece takers. I think Demarai Gray's been awesome for them. You could play him. I don't remember seeing if Calvert-Lewin is fit. I think Everton is a much more fun team for DFS if Calvert-Lewin is healthy, because then you've got a target man for Andrews Townsend and Lucas Dean to cross to. It doesn't seem like Charleston's nearly the same type of player as DCL is in the air. So that's worth noting. Just trying to think. Seamus Coleman in the back is fine. Pickford goalie fine. But I think that's the Everton thoughts I have. Why did I say... I said Burnley. Sorry, guys. I confused too. But Norwich, too. Norwich just plays so open that they just allow crosses like crazy, too. So it's very much similar analysis that you're just going to have, so a lot of crosses bombed into the box for Everton versus Norwich. Now, Norwich, I almost had a brain fart while driving. It's a team I'm really interested in the pricing on this. You got Milo Rashika. I kind of mentioned that 5,000 tier, right? You had Tom Cleverley. You had Aaron Cresswell. You have James Maddison. I think Milo Rashika is really, really interesting too. I think he's 5,100. He just had 9-10 crosses last week versus Watford. A ton of people are on him. I was so concerned with Liverpool and City that I missed him completely. Shame on me. But, super talented guy from the Bundesliga. Crosses the ball a ton. He's not been drawing the fouls or shooting as much, but he will get there. I mean, he's a guy in the Bundesliga, back to COVID Bundesliga slate days that, you would lock and load him at 7,000, 8,000, and he would just do everything you wanted. So I think he makes a ton of sense. And Billy Gilmore, they still have not fixed the price on Billy Gilmore. Not only is Billy Gilmore just a stud of a football player, but he's also getting set pieces, and he's sub 4,000. And Everton, whatever you want to call it and whatever odds, Everton gives up DFS points. They just do. They don't hold enough possession. They just give up. And Norwich is not going to sit back. Norwich is still going to go at Everton. So I think Billy Gilmore at 30, sub 4,000. We'll have to see if he plays, because now he played midweek versus Liverpool and he played the previous weekend. Maybe they give him some gas. Norwich has a lot of guys that they brought in the offseason to kind of help their squad depth. But, Billy Gilmore sub 4,000, I love. I think those are the two cash options. Todd Cantwell back in. It's always a nice player, no set pieces, but, hell, is he better than James Maddison at this point? Probably. Yeah, I think that's a slate. Those are 8 teams. Had a little brain funk there, called Norwich Burnley. Yeah, this is what you get for trying to do analysis on the road. Hope you all enjoy it, though. I really do appreciate the feedback. It's just going to be a fun slate. I'm actually looking forward to this. I opened it up before, getting the car ride, and had the whole way to my showings to think about the slate and, talk on the way back. And, I went from not loving it as I've talked it out, like going, okay, this is a really interesting slate with a lot of ways to go. And I just hope that I get it right. And I hope you two do as well. Final plug, if you are interested in coverage of almost, I can't say in every DFS slate anymore because we took off the Ligue 1 when they were overlapping, and on Saturdays and Sundays, there's just so many slates that we probably play at 85 to 90% of them at FSI, but we'd love to have you on board. Check out the link and the details. Jump aboard, try a one-day trial on Saturday. You get 17, 18 slates, see if you like it. We'd love to have you. We have an awesome soccer community that everybody genuinely just wants to help each other out and get on good plays. So wish you all luck Saturday. Hope to see you in the chat. And with that, this is Keith, aka Gator Guy 231. See ya!